Welcome to this 5-part video series on the fourth cycle knowledge designed to help awaken the dormant faculties of mind. This is part 1. Knowledge from the fourth cycle of the planetary night. Fourth cycle knowledge is philosophy and metaphysics. The way, the truth, and the life. Individuals differ in mental power, yet all grades of intelligence appreciate justice. Justice, honesty, truth, and right are our present needs. To know the truth means to know that which neither dies nor is born. To know that eternal element, which is always. That eternal element, which is buried deep in human flesh, is a spark of divine consciousness, a spark of God in man, called the soul. People are born, mature and die. Some individuals are born, lived, and before dying, they are helpers of humanity. They make the most of their opportunities. They act as trustees of whatever they have, and administer their talents, their skills, and their worldly goods, to help others to help themselves. These individuals grow, and develop, and sit in the council of the destiny of the human race. Others with good opportunities waste them. They are at cross purposes with themselves and nature. The way is old. The truth is one. The life is ever ongoing. To know the truth, one must be the truth. The way is the development of the higher faculties, based upon the right living and right thinking. This development must begin here on earth, and continues through the state after death. On earth, there is nothing great but man. In man there's nothing great but mind. One must become conscious of his own self-identity, independent of his physical body. Man is to be raised to the degree of moral and mental perfection, while the avenues of consciousness are close. The 5 senses, seeing, hearing, smelling, and tasting. One is awakened, and aware of his own self-identity on the plane of mind. These are thoughts for reflections for that study known as meditation. The results will be the discovery of that secret, long lost to the world, discoverable only by the living of a life by which man will find the way above, by self-control. The soul powers are manifest. The planetary night, a 12,960-year period, which the ancients knew was on its way, and how it would affect man and all the inhabitants of our planet. We are going into our mental sleep, or mental crystallization. This is a period wherein truth will be misunderstood, and the false will take the place of the real, definitions will be redefined, and our planet will enter a period of ignorance, nonsense, and materialism. The Earth, leaving the influence of the planetary day. For the past 6,000 years, our planet has been in the planetary night, the age of ignorance and materialism. The Earth has reached the halfway point in the planetary night, some 6,500 years, in the sign of Leo the lion. We know that all things operate and exist in periods and cycles. There are 4 authentic, but confused, sub-cycles, in the planetary night, that our planet must go through that will affect all the inhabitants of our planet. They are: 1. Magic and witchcraft. 2. Religion and priestcraft. 3. Science and industry. 4. Philosophy and metaphysics. Each cycle lasting approximately 3,240 years. At the beginning and end of each age, there is a pouring forth of hierarchical streams of cosmic energy, and as this energy intermittently enters the Earth's atmosphere, and unites, we find in this radiation the instructions best fitted for the time. Thus, there is brought to birth a new period of discovery for the world. This force possesses a new vitality and energy that will bring about a severance from past and inherited conditions. Minds that respond to it are clarified, and any opposition within the atmosphere of the mental body can no longer imprison them within its rebellious aura. This new force, called by the initiates the Dayspring, Job 37:12, Luke 1:78, has been in activity for some time. This vibration manifests whenever a new age is to be brought to birth. Intermittently, the Dayspring vibrates through humanity, bringing about a new vitality to stimulate and guide men toward deliverance. If we accept it, this vitality supports us in our desire for knowledge. If we reject it, it returns us more deeply into ignorance. It brings about a rush of new thought and stimulates the mind to a greater eagerness for truth in all walks and occupations. It seeks to raise man towards a finer and more ennobling environment. It marks the beginning of a new movement in time and history. It marks the beginning or the end of religions and epics. It brings to humanity a new type of information that will stimulate the younger minds to seek truth. What does this message of the Dayspring hold? The union of nature with man, and of man with nature, these are the two kingdoms to be married. And marriage means the perfect union of two opposites, with the creation of an equally polarized result. Man has a center, man can live without knowing his center, but man cannot be without a center. But he lives off of it, off center. The center is the link between man and God. It is the root. When we are born, we are rooted in a particular spot, in a particular chakra, center. And that is the navel. But we have forgotten this center, or we have never remembered it. It is there waiting, and we have been drifting away from it. Inside the womb, the unborn child grows around its mother's navel point. The fetus literally breathes through the umbilical cord, from the mother into its navel. The navel point is the starting point for the flow of the primordial life energy, and remains the center in the adult. You know your body, but you do not know your center. The breath should be constantly going to the center and moving out, but we are not taking enough deep breaths. Thus, it does not reach to the center. That is why everyone feels decentralized. Everyone feels off-center. That creates inner tension, a constant turmoil, anguish. You are off balance, and this being off balance, off-center, is the base of all mental tensions. If it becomes too much, you will go mad. A madman means one who has gone out of himself completely. The enlightened man is just the reverse of the madman. He is centered in himself. Look at a child sleeping. Observe its breath. The breath goes in, the abdomen comes up, and the chest remains unaffected. That is why children have no chests, only abdomen, very dynamic abdomens. The breath goes in, and the abdomen comes up, the breath goes out and the abdomen goes down. Children are in their center. That is why they are so happy, so bliss-filled, and so energy-filled, never tired, overflowing, and always in the present moment, with no past, and no future. The child can be angry, but when it is angry, it is totally angry. The child becomes the anger. Then its anger is also a beautiful thing. When one is totally angry, anger has a beauty of its own, because totality always has beauty. A child even in anger, and violence is total. Its face becomes radiant, and beautiful, it is here and now. Its anger is not something concerned with the past, or something concerned with the future. It is not calculating.
Mommy said no. No. That's not ours. No. I said no. I said no. No, we don't touch that. No, we don't touch that. No, thank you. That's a pretty. No, no, no bite, no bite. No. No. Did you just bite yourself? Really? Did that feel good? Birdie? Huh, Birdie? No, we don't touch this. Keep it moving. Here. Go get your ball. Go get your ball. I said no. No bite. No, we don't touch that. No. Now go. Keep it moving. No, no bite. No bite. Come on. I said no. Let's go. Let's go. It's okay. No. Don't bite. Don't bite. No bite. No. No.
It is just angry. The child is at its center. When you are at your center, you are always total. Whatsoever you do will be a total act. Good or bad, it will be total. When you are fragmentary, when you are off-center, your every act is bound to be a fragment of yourself. Your totality is not responding, just a part. The part is going against the total, and that creates ugliness. We all were children. Why is it that, as we grow, our breathing becomes shallow? It never goes to the abdomen, it never touches the navel, it just touches the chest and goes out. It never goes to the center. You are afraid of the center, because if you go to the center, you will become total. If you want to be fragmentary, this is the mechanism to be fragmentary. If the breath goes deep into the abdomen, it gives energy to the sex center. It touches the sex center, it massages the sex center from within. The sex center becomes more active, more alive. Civilization is afraid of sex. We do not allow our children to touch their sex center, their sex organs. We say stop, don't touch. Look at a child when it first touches his sex center, and then say stop. And then observe his breathing. When you say stop, don't touch your sex center, the breathing will become shallow immediately, because it is not only the child's hand which is touching the sex center, deep down the breath is touching it. And if the breath goes on touching it, it will be difficult to stop the hand. If the hand stops, then basically it is necessary, required, that the breath should not touch, should not go deep. It must remain shallow. When a child is born, it is rooted in the navel. He lives through the navel center. Look at a child breathing, its navel goes up and down. It breathes with the belly. He lives with the belly, not with the head, not with the heart. But by and by the child will have to drift away. He will develop another center, the heart, the center of emotions. It will learn love, and the love center will become developed. This is not the real center, and this center is a byproduct. The navel is the original center. A child is born with it, it is not a byproduct. Without it, life is impossible, so it is given. The navel is the given center, the original one. One basic thing to be understood: the heart and head centers are to be developed, but not the navel center. The navel center is just to be discovered, it is not to be developed. The navel center is already there, you have to uncover it. It is there fully developed. The heart center and the head center are developments. They are not there to be discovered, they must be developed. Our society, culture, and educational conditioning help to develop the heart and head centers, but you are born with a navel center. Without that center, you cannot exist. You can be without the heart center, you can be without the head center. They are necessities. It is good to have them, but you can be without them. It will be very inconvenient, but you can be without them. However, without the navel center, you cannot be. It is not a necessity, it is your life. Many things are implied in this. 1. It may not be possible for you to have a mind, a reasoning faculty, like an Einstein. It just may not be possible for you, but you can become a Buddha, a Jesus. Why is it possible for you to become a Buddha or a Jesus than it is to become an Einstein? Because the Christ or Buddhahood is not to be developed in you. It is already there. It is concerned with the basic center in you, the original center, the navel. It is already there. You are already a Buddha. You are already the Christ, only unaware. You are not already an Einstein. You will have to try, and then too it is not a guarantee, because, really it seems impossible. You cannot become an Einstein. Individuality cannot be repeated. Jesus the Christ and Buddha are not individuals, they are phenomena. No individual factors are meaningful, just your being is enough to be a Buddha, or Christ. The center is already functioning. You have only to discover it. You are already a Buddha, you only must know the fact. When a child is born, the first thing he is going to do is cry. With that cry his throat opens. With that cry comes the first ah, the oxygen and air that had been given by the mother are exhaled. This is its first effort at breathing. That is why the newborn cries. If a child is not crying, then the doctor will become uneasy. It still feels dependent on the mother. It must cry. That cry shows that now it is becoming an individual, and no longer needs the mother. It will take its own breath. A child is here, you call it pure. It gets angry. It has greed. So why do you call it pure? What is pure in childhood? Innocence. There is no division in the mind of a child. The child is unaware of any division into what is good and what is bad. That unawareness is the innocence. Even if it gets angry, it has no mind to be angry. It is a pure and simple act. It happened, and when anger goes, it goes. Nothing is left behind. The child is again the same, as if anger has never been there. The purity is not touched, the purity is the same. So, the child is pure because there is no mind. When someone becomes like a child, he is pure. Of course, he is not a child, only like a child. The difference is there, and the similarity is there. The similarity is the innocence regained. But the difference is also there, and the difference is great. The child is simply ignorant, hence the innocence, but the enlightened one is wise, that is the reason for his innocence. Observe this. The child is born. The child is helpless. The human child particularly is totally helpless. It must depend on others to be alive, to remain alive. This dependence is a bargain. The child must give many things in this bargain, and sensitivity is one. The child is sensitive, its whole body is sensitive. But it is helpless, it cannot be independent. It must depend on parents, on family, on society. Because of this dependence and helplessness, the parents, the society, go on forcing things on the child, and it must yield. Otherwise, it cannot remain alive. It will die. So, it must give many things in this bargain. The first and very deep significant thing is sensitivity. It must leave it. Why? Because the more the child is sensitive, the more it is in trouble, the more it is vulnerable. A slight sensation and it begins to cry. The crying must be stopped by the parents, and they cannot do anything. But if the child goes on feeling every detail of sensation, the child will become a nuisance. And children do become nuisances, so parents must curtail their sensitivity. The child must learn resistance. The child must learn control. And by, the child must divide its mind into two. So, there are many sensations that it must stop feeling, because they are not good. It is punished for them. The child's whole body is erotic. It can enjoy his fingers. It can enjoy its body. The whole body is erotic. It goes on exploring its own body. It is a great phenomenon for the child. But the moment comes in the exploration when the child gets to the genitalia. Then it becomes a problem, because the father and the mother are all repressed. The moment the child, boy or girl, touches the genitalia, the parents become uneasy. This is to be observed deeply. Their behavior suddenly changes, and the child notes it. Something wrong has happened. They start crying, "Don't touch." Then the child starts feeling that something is wrong with the genitalia. It must be suppressed. And the genital is the most sensitive part of your body, the most delicate. Once the genitalia are not allowed to be touched and enjoyed, you have killed the very source of sensitivity, and then the child will become insensitive. The more it grows, the more it will become insensitive. A child left to himself will be just an animal. It will be authentic, but it will be an animal. It will not become a man. So that is not possible. We cannot leave a child to himself. We must do something, and whatsoever we do will disturb the real self. It will give clothing. It will give faces and masks to the child. It will become a man, but then it will become an actor. It will not be real. A child, a boy, is born, or a girl is born. They do not have minds. They have only the possibility that the mind can sprout. It can be there, but it is not there. It is just a seed. Then you start to train them. You, the society, give them mind. Man, as he is a repressed being. He is not allowed. He must follow rules. He is not a free agent, he is just a kept slave, and the whole society is the prison. The walls are very subtle. They are glass walls, very transparent. You cannot see them, but they are there. Your morality, your culture, your religion, they make up the walls. They are transparent, you cannot see them. But whenever you want to cross them, you are thrown back. This state of mind is neurotic. The whole society is ill. When a child is born, it is a feeling being, it feels things. It is not a thinking being yet. It is natural, just like anything natural in nature, just like a tree, or an animal. But we start molding and cultivating. The child must suppress its feelings because without suppressing its feelings it is always in trouble. When it wants to cry, it cannot cry, because his parents will not approve of it. It will be condemned, it will not be appreciated, it will not be loved. It is not accepted as it is. It must behave according to a particular ideology, or ideas. Only then will it be loved. Love is not for the child as it is. It can be loved only if it follows certain rules. Those rules are imposed, they are not natural. The natural being begins to become suppressed, and the unnatural, the unreal is imposed over it. This unreal is your mind, and a moment comes, when the split is so great, that you cannot bridge it. You go on forgetting completely what your real nature was or is. You are a false face, the original face has been lost. And you are also afraid to feel the original, because the moment you feel it, the whole society will be against you. So you yourself are against your real nature. This creates a very neurotic state. You do not know what you want, you do not know what your real authentic needs are. And then you go on after non-authentic needs because only the feeling heart can give you the sense, the direction, of what are your real needs. When they are suppressed, you create symbolic needs. For example, you may go on eating more and more, stuffing yourself with food, and you may never feel that you are filled. The need is for love, it is not for food. But food and love are deeply related, so when the need for love is not filled, or it is suppressed, a false need for food is created and you can go on eating. Because the need is false, it can never be fulfilled. And we live in false needs. That is why there is no fulfillment. The child is born as one, whole. That is why every child is so beautiful. The beauty is because of the wholeness. The child has no gaps, no split, no divisions, and no fragments. And this is because there is no mind. The capacity for mind is there, but mind as a fact is not. The child is one, the real and the unreal are not there. The child is simply real, and authentic. You cannot say that the child is moral. The child is neither moral nor immoral. It is just unaware that there is anything moral or immoral. The moment he becomes aware, a split starts. Then the child begins behaving in unnatural ways, because to be real becomes more and more difficult. This happens out of necessity, remember, because the family must regulate, and the parents must train. The child must be civilized, educated, given manners, and cultivated, otherwise, it will be impossible for the child to move in the society. He must be told, do this. Don't do that. And when we say, do this, the child's reality may not be ready to do it. It may not be real for the child. There may not be any real desire within the child to do it. And when we say, don't do this or that, the child's nature may like to do it. A real child will be in a basic difficulty with society, because the whole society is unreal. This is a vicious cycle. A child is born in a society. The society is there with its fixed rules, regulations, behaviors and moralities which the child must learn. Then he will grow to become false. Then, children will be born to him. And he will help make them false, and this goes on and on. When a child is born, he must be forced into a certain discipline. He cannot be allowed freedom. The child must be disciplined. What are you doing when you are disciplining a child? You are forcing something which is not natural to him. You are asking and demanding something that he will never do spontaneously. You will punish him, you will appreciate, you will bribe him, you will do everything to make him social, to take him away from his natural being. You will create a new center in his mind, which was never there, and this center will grow, and the natural center will go into oblivion, into the unconscious. Your natural center has moved into the unconscious, into the dark, and your unnatural center has become your conscious. There is no division between unconscious and conscious, the division is created. You are one consciousness. This division comes because your center has been forced to some dark corner, suppressed or repressed. Even you are not in contact with it, you are not allowed to be in contact with it. You have become unconscious that you have a center. Freedom is killed. And without freedom, you lose your center. You live what the society, the culture, the family has taught you to live. You live a false life. For this false life, a false center is needed. That center is your ego, your conscious mind. This is the end of part 1. Thank you for watching and listening. Part 2 continues. Knowledge from the fourth cycle.